Now you can take off in second gear in this vehicle, so that's my back left. And I'm going to just ease the clutch out like you would in any normal manual vehicle, but you don't need to give it bucket loads of acceleration and power off. Trucks are made to work. So the first change I'm going to do is from 2 to 3, and I'm going to go clutch to neutral and clutch to gear. It looks like this. So tacho pushes up. Don't over rev it. A lot of people fall into the trap of over revving the engine. So just build it up. I'm just around about 1400 RPMs on the tachometer. Clutch into gear. So as I'm going to neutral, I'm going clutch in, release, clutch to gear. Okay, now what I'm going to do is move out of this service road onto the main road. I'm currently in third gear on the pattern, so I'm very low in the gears at the moment. I'll sneak up, brake, clutch, ease the clutch out. Okay, I'm going to go back to second gear. Make sure it's all clear. Got a bit of a line of traffic coming. There's a set of traffic lights up there, probably just turned green. Having a really good look over my right shoulder to make sure it's clear. Just grabbing the friction point so we don't roll backwards. Looking where I'm going, grab the gear stick, clutch to neutral, clutch to gear, that's third. Check the mirrors, yep, we're looking good. Clutch to neutral, clutch to gear, that's fourth. Then I go from the low range, prepare by clicking this little black lever up at the front here to go to the high range. Then we start the H pattern all over again. Clutch to neutral, clutch to gear. Scan the mirrors, we're all clear. Straight back for 6, clutch to neutral, clutch to gear. Work it up to 7, over to my knee. Notice my hands up on top of the stick. Clutch to neutral, clutch to gear. Check the mirrors. Make sure we're inside the white line. Make sure we're inside the broken line. Watch for any vehicles coming out from these side driveways here. Check the mirrors. See what's happening around me. Have a situational awareness. I've got a vehicle parked on the side of the road. I'm not going to go out of my lane, but I'm going to use the right of my lane just to give them some buffer zone. I'm in the 70 zone. I'm going to go clutch up to 8. Your left hand and your left foot have to work together. If they don't work together, that's when you get grinding. Bus stop's clear. Look up ahead. Got a set of traffic lights. Got a car moving into my lane, so I'm just going to ease off a little bit and give myself a bit of breathing space. Still scanning. Still green. Okay, point of no return. We're through that set of traffic lights. Scan to the sides. Make sure it's all clear. Mirror checks. Look up ahead. Lights are green at the moment. They've been green for a while, often referred to as stale green. So I'm just in 8th gear, which is the top gear in the H pattern. And I'm just still coming up, still green. I'm just about up to the point of no return, and okay, I'm going to continue through on this set. The key with driving the Road Ranger in terms of traffic light judgment is you've got to look ahead and you've got to look early, and you've got to use all of your experience possible to judge the traffic lights. Mirror checks, awareness of what's happening around me, checking all these driveways to the side. I'm still in 8th gear, I'm in the 70 zone. I'm currently doing about 65. Got another set of traffic lights coming up. I can see a pedestrian there, just on the side of the road. Lights are still green. I've got a car there which would have triggered the lights off, so I'm just monitoring. Okay, I'm through another set of lights. I'm getting a golden run this morning. Okay, now we've come into a 60 zone, so I'm just easing off the accelerator. Mirror checks, got a vehicle coming up on my right. Look up ahead. I can see a warning sign telling me this is a koala zone. I'm also coming up into a roadworks area. Rev it, clutch it, put it into gear. That's going down to 40. So I'm in 7th gear at the moment. Tacho's on about 1100. Checking the mirrors. So what you'll notice is every time I go up the gears, I'm just going clutch to neutral, release the clutch to gear, release the clutch. When I'm going down the gears, I'm going clutch to neutral. I'm coming off the clutch, rev it up, clutch and in. Foot brake. The air brakes are very touchy, so you've got to just use your heel toe technique, but be very gentle with those. I'm in 5th now, so I've just worked it down the H pattern. Brake, clutch and stop. Nose behind the stop line. Flick it to low range. Pop it out of gear. Put it into 2nd. Ready to go. Mirror checks. Work it up the gears. Clutch. The most important thing too is don't try and race the cars. You're not going to win. So just work up through your gears and focus on what you're doing. If you focus on getting your timing right, and by that I mean Your left foot has to work in conjunction with your left hand. If your left foot doesn't double clutch working with your left hand, then you're going to get grinding of gears or loss of gears. And it's really important when you're driving a Road Ranger to keep it in gear and to keep control. You'll find if you're doing a driving test that if there's a little bump or grind with the gears, the examiners won't fail someone specifically for that. But loss of gears, like I'm going down a hill at the moment, if I lose the gears down here, I'll be free rolling towards a busy roundabout in peak hour versus being in a gear in control. Right indicator for a right turn. I've got a car behind me. You've got to make sure too when you're driving these heavy vehicles that you don't lose other vehicles in your side mirrors, because the mirrors are big and that's a good thing, but you can be coming up to a roundabout, and if you don't look early and look past your mirrors and have more than one look, you can actually hide vehicles behind the mirrors. So it's one of the things to get used to when you're learning. Okay, we're in 6th gear. I'm going to work it up to 7. Clutch, clutch. Lights are green up ahead. We've got 2 vehicles sitting at the traffic light. They would have triggered the lights off. So at some point these lights will definitely change. They're still green at the moment. I'm looking at them early. They're still green. Okay, they've just gone orange. If you're going to get a late notice and you don't have time to make a change, brake, clutch, and pull the vehicle up as your first priority. Don't go hurtling in towards a situation, just popping the park brake on. Don't go into a situation where you try and make 5 gear changes in the space of 30 metres, dropping your speed down. Come down in gear and in control. So if you get that late notice, if you can safely pull up on an orange to red light, do so. But if you're going to be, locking the brakes up or something like that, because braking in a truck is very different to braking in a car, then you've got to be more wary of the distance. Also, if you've got a trailer on or 2 trailers on, or you've got weight on the vehicle as well. All of that weight adds to the momentum of the vehicle as it's moving along, and you can't beat the laws of physics. The heavier the object, the harder it is to get going. The heavier the object, the harder it is to stop. Okay, so again, I'm looking up ahead. The lights have just gone orange, the lights have just gone red. I'm in 7th gear. Notice that this little black switch up the front here is in high range. Mirror checks, just to see what's happening around me. The criteria on the Q-Safe test says check your mirrors every 8 to 10 seconds, but you also need to keep in mind that we're not just driving up to the numbers, we're also making sure that we check the mirrors actually in the important points when we need to check them as well. So I'm just working down a couple of gear changes here. I'm in 5th and the lights are still red. This is a very busy intersection and we're not going to get a quick go here. So I'm just going to pull up, making sure I'm strategically positioned. So I'm just working up the gears. Now, just for those people who might see this and say, can't you drive it without the clutch? The answer is yes, but again, this being a learner driver tutorial, in the driving test, you have to use the clutch. So all of the demonstrations that I do and all the tutorials that I do, I'll always be using the clutch because that's the expectation on the test. Okay, now just come back to another set of lights up ahead. They're green at the moment. Mirror checks. We're in peak hour traffic, so there is traffic around. I'm being followed by a vehicle about 1.5 seconds behind. Okay, so we're coming up to another set of lights. They're green at the moment. Mirror checks, just to have an awareness of what's around me, making sure I'm in my lane. The lights are still green. I'm coming up to the point of no return again. Okay, if the lights change now, they've just changed and I've already committed to the lights, we're going through. Again, if I can stop on the orange light, I will. But if I can't safely pull the vehicle up, because I've got a vehicle really close behind me as well, then I need to push through those lights. So all I can keep reiterating is you have to scan and plan up ahead. You have to be very aware and give yourself as much time as possible to respond to any changes in the traffic. I'm just working down the gears. I'm in 6. I'm just braking, clutching and pulling it up. Go to low range. Knock it out at 6, knock it into 2 and into gear. Okay, away we go. 2nd, so clutch to 3. Clutch to 4. High range. Clutch to 5. I'm only going halfway on the clutch. Clutch, clutch to 6. Clutch, clutch to 7. Okay, now I'm coming up. I've got a warning light, a warning sign telling me that there's a roundabout coming up. So I check the mirrors. I set my course. I'm going straight ahead. I'm going to ease off the accelerator, bring the tacho down, knock it out of gear, rev it up, drop it down a gear into 6, scan the roundabout. I've got vehicles on the roundabout. I must give way to them. Okay, now the roundabout is clear. I'm coming around. I'm maintaining my lane position. I'm checking the entry point there. A left indicator. I've got a vehicle very close behind me. That doesn't mean I'm going to drive faster. I've just got my agenda. You can't drive a heavy vehicle around a roundabout like you're driving a sports car. You'll end up on your side, and then you'll be, then you'll have to deal with the ramifications of that driving behaviour. So your priority is to keep control around all corners and roundabouts. So lights are green. I'm actually only on 40 at the moment because I'm coming down the hill towards the lights. If they change, I don't want to be hurtling down. Okay, I'm at the point of no return again. They're still green and I'm through. Check the speed, it's a 60. Check the mirrors, so I've got awareness ceramic. Lights are green up ahead. I'm just maintaining my lane, checking my mirrors, still green, still green. I know I can stop now if I need to, still green. Okay, I'm through the next set of lights, scanning to the sides, looking up ahead, another green light. The zone is 60, mirror checks, now I'm in 3 lanes of traffic and I'm in the middle lane. Lights are still green, lights are still green, point of no return, we're going through. Okay, we're through another set of lights, mirror checks. We're in 8th gear at the moment, following the road. We're coming up into a 70 zone, but around the bend, just local knowledge tells me there's a set of traffic lights up ahead. So I'm just easing off the accelerator. Lights are green. Still green. Just taking it easy. Mirror checks. Lights are still green. More mirror checks. Now my eyes go to the traffic lights because I've had a look about what's around me. I don't want to be looking in the mirrors when the lights are about to change. We're through another set. Eyes go up to the next set of traffic lights. They're red at the moment. Immediately come off the accelerator. If I want, I can use the exhaust brake, which is pushing this lever on the left here forward. That's just knocking the edge off the speed for me. Okay, lights have gone green. Ease off the exhaust brake. Okay, lights have gone orange again. That's a quick change. Foot brake. Work it down a gear. Brake. Get the speed down. Work it down another gear. I'm just going to jump it from 7 down to 5 that time. So if you find you brake fairly heavily, low range, 2nd gear, ready to go. If you find you're in 7th gear, which is my front right, lights changed, gave me short notice, brake fairly heavy, the tacho will push down pretty dramatically, and it was down about, 900 I think. I was listening to the sound of the engine, I knocked out a gear, I went across, I revved it up about 400 RPM, and then clutch, and then bring it into gear so you're in 5th gear. So you can skip gears going up and you can skip gears going down, but it's got to be within the manufacturer's guidelines, it's got to be safe, and it's got to be in the appropriate rev range. If I try and pull off that 7 to 5 change and I fluff it up, then we've got a problem. So it's like anything. You think about a cricket player. If a cricket player takes a one-handed catch, everyone says it's a great catch. If a cricket player drops a one-handed catch, everyone says you should have used 2 hands. So I take that same approach when it comes to driving the vehicle. You try and do drive to the most rock solid, predictable, routine technique you can. And if you find you want to do something outside of that normal routine, make sure you've practiced those skills in a quiet area so that you can apply them in the traffic like we are at the moment. So at the moment I'm in 2nd gear. Notice that I'm in low range. Ease the clutch out, a little bit of accelerator, half clutch to 3, half clutch to 4, go to high range, half clutch to 5, mirror checks, looking up ahead. Notice that I'm keeping a good grip on that gear stick, using the ball of my hand here. And also what I like to do is, I've got my thumb, there is actually a little splitter over to the side here with half gears on it. I'm not talking about that specifically at the moment because again, this being a learner tutorial, you would bring in you would bring in that as a content further down the track. So I'm not going to talk about that at the moment. We're just basically trying to get the double clutching technique going and trying to see some predictability and some routine to driving an even fuller out on the road. So I'm just cruising on at the moment. I'm in 8th gear, making sure I'm in my lane, looking up ahead, being aware of what other vehicles I have around me. You don't want to be driving along in the traffic and have no awareness of what's happening around you. Now I'm looking up ahead at the traffic lights and they're green at the moment. I'm in 8th gear, so I'm just monitoring, still green. And what I'm watching for, every truck driver needs to watch the cars cut in front of you as they're coming up to the traffic lights. And you've got to be really careful because you might have your following distance, 2 seconds minimum in Queensland, 3 seconds minimum in New South Wales. They jump right in front of you just as the lights are about to change, and they chop your stopping distance down dramatically. So all heavy, there's another one doing it right there, and all heavy vehicle drivers have to drive in a manner saying, okay, they've chopped my stopping distance, I need to be backing off just a little bit. Now I'm not using the brake, all I'm doing is just easing my foot slightly off the accelerator and just opening that gap up again, and once I've got it back where I want it, then I'm moving along with the flow of the traffic. I'm in 8th gear, I've got a couple of vehicles around me to the side, I'm looking up ahead. We've got a busy service station up ahead, so we've got vehicles that come and go from there. So I'm also looking at things like brake lights on the vehicle. I've got a guy just pulling up on the side of the road, jumping out as if there's nobody around. So be aware of drivers who are unaware as well, or carefree with just walking out on the road. They're assuming that everyone's seeing them and that everyone's going to drive around them. When I'm not driving, I don't take my hands off the wheel. I always keep at least one hand on the wheel. You find when you're driving with an even fuller that you're going to be doing lots of gear work, particularly on the low gears. So you'll work that left hand, and once you finish with your gears, you'll bring your left hand back up to the steering wheel. But it's not a good practice to ever take your hands, both hands off the wheel when the vehicle's moving, and also when you're stationary, keep one hand secure on the vehicle at all times. I've got my foot on the foot brake. If I was for any reason going to come off the brake, I'll bring the park brake on and secure the vehicle. Okay, so we're just still waiting for our lights to do their thing. And what I'm doing is, the beauty of sitting in a truck or a bus is you're up high, so you get a really good look around you. As I mentioned earlier, I'm making sure that there's nothing's hiding behind mirrors, that there's no school kids running around the truck, crossing the road, or taking chances or anything like that. I can see there's actually a skateboarder over there, and that when the lights change, I'm in gear. I know that this lever is down in low range. Some people sit here with it in high range, which actually means they're in 6. Make sure that you've always got the range selector in and that you're good to go. So still waiting, very, very busy intersection. Okay, here we go. So I'm just easing off, again, running my own race. I'm not trying to keep up with the cars, half clutching on each gear change, monitoring around me. It's peak hour, which also means I'm looking out for school kids and that type of thing. I'm half clutching on each of the gears, noticing that I'm keeping control of that gear stick. Got my thumb to control the splitter over here, and I've got my fingers at the front here. I'm really careful not to accidentally knock that range selector. I've done training with people and they've knocked that range selector into the wrong range when we're training, and all it does is just grind the gear, and they're wondering what's wrong with it. But you need to actually be monitoring the gears at all times. So I know that the vehicle's in 8 at the moment. Scanning the lights, still green. Mirror checks, back to the lights, still green. Driving straight ahead, make sure I'm inside my lane. I should see the white line over here, broken line here. Again, more people on their phones, everywhere you look. You're sitting in a truck, you see it all day, cutting in front of me just before the traffic lights. Checking the speed, still green. Looking up ahead, still green. Checking the speed. Okay, I've done my final mirror check before I hit the traffic lights, so they're green. Okay, they've just gone orange. Brake. If you don't get a chance to change, I'm just going to pull up in 8 this time just to show what to do. If you don't get the chance to go down that gear because of late notice, your first priority is to pull it up in gear. If you can get it down 1 change, get it down 1 change. If you can get it down 2 changes, get it down 2 changes. If you get it down 3, go to 3. But if not, just make sure you get this vehicle pulled up. This is This is the set of traffic lights, and we've probably been through about 30 sets of lights so far. I always think this: getting T-boned is one of the high risk factors at the traffic light. So I need to remove that from an issue. So first of all, my behaviour at the traffic lights is one whereby if anyone does anything else, I'm scanning to the sides to manage that contingency. So I don't want to be the one hitting someone coming through running the light. And secondly, I've also got my own behaviour to make sure that I don't run any lights as well. Okay, so we're going to work up, clutch it, scanning, clutch it, still scanning, your eyes constantly on the move. Okay, lights are red up ahead, check the mirrors. I'm in 8th gear, just going to ease off, bring the tacho down, rev it, clutch, into gear. Look up ahead, we're green at the moment, mirror checks. It's going to go, it says form 2 lanes, so there's 3 lanes at the moment, it's going to go back to 2. So I need to communicate with the people in the middle lane that I need to get over there. So first of all, I'm going to get through the lights. That's my first priority. Now this is a full line of traffic I'm going to have to work into here. So early notice, right indicator, drop it a gear, just to get a bit of extra control. Make sure that that person who's backed off is going to give me some space. So I'm just going to slot it in. The most gentle of steering, give them a little courtesy wave. And up to 8, 60 zone. Okay, I've got an unmarked police car. They tend to actually sit about a metre out from the vehicle they're pulling over. Now, my right lane's clear. I'm just going to borrow a little bit of it. Okay. I'm around the police officer. I know they're trying to protect the scene, but when they sit a metre and a half out on the road, it really means you've got to get over and use that lane next to you, so you need to get the right indicator on. Even if you only partially cross that broken line, you need to indicate. Down to 7, mirror checks, let the tacho drop. With that nice big vroom on the right foot. If I rev up on those down changes when my foot's on the clutch, it's null and void. You have to be off the clutch when you're revving up the engine. Okay, pushing up through the lights. I'm just going to keep it at 6. Still green. Knock it up another gear. Mirror checks. I've got a car coming up on my left. I want that left lane, but I've got a bus about to pull out, so I'm actually just going to hold the right lane. Turn up here, so I'm in 7. 6. 5. Round we go on 5. Make sure I don't cut the corner, otherwise I will bump those back wheels up on the curb or wipe out a pole or something. I'm going to take a left turn. What I'll do is go down to 4 to show you how to drop it down to the lower range. So pre-select, low range, knock it out of gear, rev it up, clutch it in. Now I'm into 4. So if I get a really tight corner where it's a bit blind, I can go to 4th, because 4th can go really slow. Keep my scanning up, straighten the wheel, select high range, up to 5th, clutch, scan the road environment. I'm in an industrial estate, so I'm just having to make sure that there's no danger around.